So this is in behind Mackey, the Frontier Ashport Road, old CP rail line. Even this beaver pond was here 40 years ago. And this is where the Mackey siding was, which they doubled in the 80s. They lengthened it, and one end of the siding, actually I think one end of the siding was just no, it was quite a ways up there, and then the other end was a good mile farther that way. And they built that extension when I was in my teens. Boy, we just found this abandoned building. We're gonna go check it out. Got attacked by a couple of trees. So this was Adelard siding on the old CP rail line here.
Adelard, mile marker 36.
Mile marker 36?
Right there.
Oh, here's a mile marker. Look at that. Let's go take a look at it. There we are. Mile marker 36. One of the few poles left standing. So this is the east end of Adelard, the Adelard siding. You can see where it splits, and you can even see the concrete pylons here from the signals at the end of the siding. Pretty soon. Damn. I see what you did there. So far, for the moment that lets go, it's taking the rail bed out. And you can see it widens here. There was obviously a siding here. We're coming up on Adelard Station. Right up ahead, I believe. Okay, so I think that cabin over there was part of the maintenance away buildings. And I'm pretty sure this big flat spot is where the station proper was. So there's probably, well, there would have been a siding here. You could see the rail bed was wider coming up to it, and its wire going away. And I don't know when this was abandoned, but my timetable from the 30s shows this station here. And this is Adelard Lake. Would have been a scenic view trucking through here on the train. And these 100-plus-year-old rock cuts. Probably 120 years old, thereabouts. And of course, a good chunk of the rail line. Here we are, mile 32. A good chunk of the rail line followed along the Ottawa River. Must have been a very scenic run. So here we are, mile 31. I'm kicking myself for not bringing our printout of the 1930s timetable, because right here it's suspiciously a large flat area that looks excavated like possibly a station or a siding. So I'm gonna have to look this up when I get back home again. Mile 31. this would have been one of the intermediate signals on this rail line. They had them every 2 miles, and they had them typically, so there would have been one here as well facing the other direction. So this would have been the westward facing one for eastward traffic. What a view. Okay, my brother spotted this. It's silver colored, so it probably had something to do with... Oh, that's the base off one of the signals. They had, because it's silver colored, so it had, that's what that is. So the base off one of the signal towers, one of the signal masts. And so my brother found a broken base. I found the sun shield off one of the signals. Coming up to Grants Creek. And here we are, the beautiful Harvey Creek. Or sorry, not Harvey Creek, Grants Creek. Harvey Creek is up in Mackey. Still chunks of rail kicking around now and then. Okay, it doesn't look like much, but right here there was a hot box detector, and you can see Highway 17 there, and here's where the power came in for it. But so basically, I remember as a teenager, you could just get a glimpse from the highway mostly when you were eastbound. This was back in the early 80s. The hot box detector here was one of the scoreboard kind, and so there's this gigantic scoreboard above the tracks that was standing on a mast here, and of course all the equipment, and so you can see where the wires were running to the tracks and everything. And I only recently learned how to read those scoreboard hotbox detectors, and apparently they only had a brief stint between the time of the Mississauga derailment, where they had to evacuate most of Mississauga, and shortly after they replaced them all with radio talkers. So basically the hotbox would talk to you over the radio and give an indication of any faults in the train or no problems. And here's one of the concrete mast mounts. So these get buried in the ground, and that's what they anchor all the framework to. This is the old Stonecliffe siding. Okay, story time. So these little islands here, two friends of mine when we were teenagers, we got a couple of railroad ties and a couple of boards and built a raft, and we would float over there. The raft was horribly unstable, and it actually capsized on the last guy as he was coming back. Had to go for a swim in the it would have been late spring. But here's what I want to show you. One thing, so this water on the Ottawa River was not always this high. It was quite a bit down, and they built the Rapides des Jochems hydroelectric generating station just downstream from here, and they had to move the rail bed. So here is the original rail bed where it connects on to what was the rail bed here. Why isn't that focusing? There we go. So this was, they call this Loggers Road. This comes right through downtown Stonecliffe. And basically, this was the original rail bed, went down the road, which is now used for the old Ministry of Natural Resources boat launch, and goes underwater. And I was hoping to actually be able to get pictures of the old rail bed that's normally underwater, because it's exposed in the spring times when the water is low. So here's where the junction was. This is where the original rail bed from late 1800s, early 1900s came across. And then this is the diversion that was built in about 1948, 49. And here we are. This would have been Stonecliffe Station. We're just coming in behind Yates's General Store and the pump house in Stonecliffe. So here we are in behind Stonecliffe. This was the Stonecliffe Station. And I'm going to show you something neat and historical here. Right down here. So this is the old, it's actually an access road and a buried pipe. As this is the old pump house. Actually, I feel like a bit of a doughhead now, because this was probably built by the railroad, actually, for watering the steam engines, because this was a major station. So the signaling system as well, every couple miles, had these battery boxes, and look at this, it's even still got the switchgear in it. And there's mast stand. So they'd have batteries in here for detecting the trains and operating the signals and stuff. So Jeff just dragged us out here, but I have to admit, this is a pretty impressive view. This is McSwirly Lake Lookout, or so he alleges.